She stood on that rooftop with a microphone, gave me an ultimatum in front of 50 people, and waited for me to beg. I didn't say a word. I just walked away. That's when her perfect plan started falling apart. Turns out, silence can be the most devastating response of all. My name is Ryan Chambers. I'm 41, work as a senior developer at a tech company in Austin. My wife Lauren is 36, marketing manager at the same company. We've been married 14 years, have a 6-year-old daughter named Olivia. On paper, we look perfect. The night everything shattered was supposed to be a celebration. Our company launched a new platform. Lauren's team crushed the marketing campaign, and our VP of technology, Jordan Palmer, threw this rooftop party downtown. Lauren insisted I come. Said it would be good for my career. I should have stayed home. The party was packed when we arrived. Lauren looked stunning in a dress I'd never seen before. She disappeared into the crowd within minutes, leaving me nursing a beer near the bar. I'm not good at these corporate things. Never have been. I spotted her an hour later across the rooftop, laughing with Jordan. His hand rested on her back. Too familiar, too comfortable. Something twisted in my gut, but I pushed it down. Just colleagues, I told myself. Then came the speeches. Jordan talked about innovation and teamwork, then handed the microphone to Lauren. She thanked the team, talked about the campaign, the late nights. Her eyes found mine, and something cold flashed across her face. I want to thank those who believed in me when others didn't, Lauren said. Some people are content staying in the same place forever, playing it safe. But I'm not one of those people anymore. The crowd clapped. I stood there, frozen. She stepped down from the platform and walked straight toward me, microphone still in hand. People parted like the Red Sea. My heart hammered. Ryan, she said, her voice amplified for everyone to hear. We need to talk about us. About what you want. What I want. I'm tired of waiting for you to figure it out. Every eye turned to me. Jordan stood near the platform, arms crossed, watching. So here's your choice. Right here, right now, Lauren continued. Are you in, or are you out? Do you want this marriage, or should we both just move on? The rooftop went silent. Someone's phone buzzed. A glass clinked. She went too far and gave me an ultimatum to stay or go in front of everyone. I looked at this woman I'd loved for 14 years and didn't recognize her. I said nothing. Just set my beer down, turned around, and walked toward the exit. I simply walked away. Behind me, gasps and murmurs erupted. Someone called my name. I didn't look back. I took the elevator down, walked out into the Austin night, and kept walking. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. That was the moment my marriage ended. Not with a conversation or counseling. With silence, in front of 50 witnesses, on a rooftop under Texas stars. I woke up in my brother's guest room, still wearing my dress shirt and slacks from the night before. My phone sat on the floor, face down, battery at 3%. 47 missed calls. 62 text messages. I didn't look at any of them. My brother, Kevin, was already up making coffee when I stumbled into his kitchen around 7. He took one look at me and poured 2 cups without saying a word. That's the thing about brothers, the good ones anyway. They know when to talk and when to just hand you caffeine and keep their mouth shut. You want to tell me what happened? Kevin finally asked after I'd downed half the cup. I told him. All of it. The rooftop, the ultimatum, the walk away. He listened without interrupting, which I appreciated more than he'd ever know. She's lost her mind, Kevin said when I finished. He's 43, divorced himself 3 years back, so he understood betrayal better than most. You did the right thing, man. Walking away took more guts than staying would have. My phone buzzed on the table. Lauren's name flashed on the screen. I let it ring out. You gonna talk to her eventually? Kevin asked. Eventually, I said. But not today. The messages started coming in waves after that. First from Lauren, short and cold. You just left. Then longer ones, trying to justify herself. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. By mid-morning, she'd switched tactics. We need to talk about Olivia. She's asking where you are. That one hit different. My little girl, 6 years old, and probably confused as hell why Daddy didn't come home last night. I texted back. Tell Olivia I love her, and I'll see her soon. You and I will talk when I'm ready. Lauren's response came fast. When you're ready? Typical. Always about what you want. I set the phone down before I said something I'd regret. Around noon, I got a text from someone I didn't expect. Taylor Reed, a junior developer on my team. Her message was short. Hey Ryan, I don't know if this is crossing a line, but I think you should know something. Can we meet for coffee? I stared at that message for a solid 5 minutes. Taylor was 28, sharp as they come, kept to herself mostly. We'd worked together for 2 years, strictly professional. Why would she want to meet now? Meet her, Kevin said when I showed him the text. He was reading the paper at the kitchen table. If she's reaching out the day after that disaster, she knows something. He was right. I texted back, coffee sounds good. When and where? We agreed to meet at a place near the office at 3. I showered, changed into the spare clothes Kevin lent me, and tried to prepare myself for whatever was coming next. Because here's the thing I was starting to realize. Last night wasn't the beginning of the end. It was just the moment I finally opened my eyes. The end had been coming for a while, and I'd been too busy being a good husband and father to notice. Taylor was going to tell me something I didn't want to hear. I could feel it in my bones, but I needed to hear it anyway. Taylor was already waiting when I walked into a coffee shop at 3. She sat in a corner booth, nursing a latte, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. I slid into the seat across from her and got straight to it. What do you need to tell me? I asked. She took a breath, then met my eyes. I've known about Lauren and Jordan for 4 months. I should have told you sooner, but I didn't know how, and honestly, I wasn't sure if it was my place. The words hit like a punch, even though part of me already knew. For months, at least, maybe longer. Taylor pulled out her phone and slid it across the table. I took screenshots. I'm sorry, Ryan. I know this is awful, but you deserve to know the truth. The photos showed text messages between Lauren and Jordan. Flirty at first, then explicit. Plans to meet at hotels. Discussions about when he finally figures it out. And just a few more months. There were expense reports too, business trips that lined up perfectly with conference bookings under false names. My hand shook as I scrolled through them. Taylor reached across and gently took her phone back. There's more, she said quietly. Financial stuff. Jordan's been approving expense reimbursements for Lauren that don't match any legitimate business travel. We're talking thousands of dollars over the past 6 months. Plastic surgery consultations, jewelry purchases, spa treatments, all coded as client entertainment or marketing expenses. She had work done. The question came out hollow. Breast augmentation in March. Botox every 6 weeks. She told people it was for confidence, for her career. Taylor's voice softened. I'm sorry. I know this is a lot. It was more than a lot. It was systematic. Calculated. Lauren hadn't just cheated. She'd used company money to transform herself for another man, while I worked late nights to support her family. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Because after last night, I realized she was setting you up. That ultimatum wasn't about giving you a choice. It was about making you look weak in front of everyone, so she could justify leaving. Jordan's been planning to bring her on as VP of marketing. They needed you out of the picture, and they needed it to look like your fault. I sat back, processing. Does HR know about this? Not yet, but they will. Taylor pulled out a flash drive and set it on the table. Everything's on here. Messages, expense reports, hotel receipts, all of it. What you do with it is up to you. I took the drive and pocketed it. Thank you, Taylor. Seriously. One more thing, she said as I stood to leave. Jordan's married. Has been for 6 years. His wife lives in Dallas with their 2 kids. He keeps it quiet because he likes to play the bachelor at the office. That stopped me cold. Lauren knows. I don't think so. He's been lying to both of you. I walked out of that coffee shop with a flash drive full of evidence and a clarity I hadn't felt in months. Lauren wanted to paint me as the problem, the anchor holding her back. But I wasn't the villain in this story. I was just the guy who finally opened his eyes. The hardest part about all of this wasn't the betrayal or the humiliation. It was explaining to my 6-year-old daughter why Daddy wasn't coming home. I picked Olivia up from school on Friday, 3 days after the rooftop incident. Lauren had been sending increasingly hostile texts, but when it came to our daughter, we managed to keep it civil. Barely. Olivia climbed into my car with her princess backpack and gave me the biggest smile. Daddy, where have you been? I've been staying at Uncle Kevin's for a few days, sweetheart. But I'm here now. Why aren't you staying at home? Kids ask the questions you're not ready to answer. I pulled out of the school parking lot and chose my words carefully. Mommy and Daddy are having some grown-up problems right now. But that doesn't change how much I love you. You know that, right? Are you getting divorced like Emma's parents? Emma was her best friend from kindergarten. The divorce had been messy, and Olivia had asked questions about it for weeks. I don't know yet, honey. Maybe. But whatever happens, you'll always have both of us. We both love you more than anything. She was quiet for a moment, then asked, "Is it because of Mr. Jordan?" My hands tightened on the steering wheel. "What do you mean?" "I heard Mommy talking on the phone. She said your name and Mr. Jordan's name. She sounded mad." I pulled into a parking lot and turned to face her. "Olivia, listen to me. None of this is your fault. Sometimes adults make mistakes, and sometimes relationships change. But you didn't do anything wrong, okay?" She nodded, but I could see the confusion in her eyes. We spent the afternoon at the park. I pushed her on the swings, helped her across the monkey bars, bought her ice cream, even though dinner was only an hour away. Normal dad stuff. The kind of moments that matter more than any corporate party or marriage drama. When I dropped her back at the house that evening, Lauren stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. I walked Olivia to the door, kissed her forehead, and told her I'd see her soon. "We need to talk," Lauren said as Olivia ran inside. "Yeah, we do. But not here and not now." I kept my voice level. "I've got a lawyer. You should get one too. We'll handle this properly." "A lawyer?" "Ryan, don't you think that's—" "You gave me an ultimatum in front of 50 people, Lauren. You humiliated me. You've been spending company money on plastic surgery and hotel rooms with Jordan Palmer. So yeah, I got a lawyer." Her face went pale. "How did you?" "Doesn't matter. What matters is you made your choice on that rooftop. Now I'm making mine." I walked back to my car, got in, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing there, frozen. For the first time in days, I felt like I was taking control of my life instead of just reacting to hers. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about being right. It was about protecting my daughter and my future. And that started with being strong enough to stand my ground. Monday morning, I sat across from Patricia Vance, one of the best divorce attorneys in Austin. She came recommended by Kevin's ex-wife, ironically enough. Patricia was mid-50s, sharp-eyed, with a reputation for demolishing unfaithful spouses in court. "Let me make sure I understand," Patricia said, reviewing the flash drive contents on her laptop. "Your wife committed expense fraud, had an affair with a married executive, and publicly humiliated you to justify leaving. And you have documented proof of all of it." "That's right." She leaned back in her chair, a slight smile crossing her face. "Mr. Chambers, this is the most open and shut case I've seen in years. Your wife handed you everything you need. What about Olivia?" "Custody. With this evidence, you'll get joint custody minimum, possibly primary if we can prove Lauren's choices created an unstable environment. The fact that she's involved with a married man who's been lying to her strengthens your position considerably." I felt a weight lift off my chest. "What's next?" "I file for divorce today. We cite adultery, fraud, and emotional abuse. I'll also contact your company's HR department about the expense violations. Jordan Palmer won't just lose his girlfriend. He'll lose his job." "Good." Patricia studied me for a moment. "Most men in your position want revenge. You just want your daughter protected. Revenge won't change what happened. But making sure Olivia has a stable father who fights for her, that I can do. Then let's get to work." By Wednesday, Lauren had been served. She called me 17 times in 2 hours. I didn't answer. Her texts escalated from angry to desperate. "How could you do this?" Followed by, "We can fix this." And finally, "You're destroying our family." I responded once. "You destroyed it on that rooftop. I'm just making it official." Thursday afternoon, I got a call from Jordan. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Ryan, we need to talk." His voice was tight, controlled. "Nothing to talk about." "Listen, Lauren told me about the divorce papers. You're making a mistake. We can settle this quietly. No need to involve the company." I laughed. Actually laughed. Quietly. Like how you quietly spent months sleeping with my wife using company funds. That kind of quiet. Silence. "HR is everything," I continued. "Expense reports, hotel receipts, messages. You're done, Jordan. And here's the best part. Your wife in Dallas? She's getting copies too. Taylor already tracked down her contact information. You son of..." "No." I cut him off. "You made your choices. You want a Lauren? You got her. But you also got the consequences. Enjoy unemployment." I hung up and immediately called Patricia. "Jordan Palmer just contacted me trying to negotiate. Can he do that?" "He can try. It won't help him. The evidence is already submitted to HR and documented in the divorce filing. He's trying to minimize damage, but it's too late. She paused. How do you feel? Honestly, better than I have in months. Good. Keep that energy. We've got a fight ahead, but we're going to win. That evening, I picked up Olivia from school and took her to get pizza. She seemed lighter somehow, like she could sense the shift in me. Daddy, are you okay? She asked between bites of pepperoni. Yes, sweetheart. I really am. Good. Because you seem like you again. Out of the mouths of children. She was right. For the first time since that rooftop, I felt like myself. Not the man who ignored warning signs. Not the man who worked himself to death while his wife planned her exit. The man I should have been all along. Someone who stood up for what mattered. 2 weeks after filing for divorce, Lauren asked to meet in person. Not at the house. Not at a lawyer's office. She wanted neutral ground. I suggested a coffee shop downtown, public enough that she couldn't make a scene. She showed up 15 minutes late, wearing a business suit I'd never seen before. Probably bought with stolen money. She sat down across from me, and I noticed the dark circles under her eyes, the tension in her jaw. You're really doing this, she said. Not a question. A statement. You did this. I corrected. I'm just following through. Ryan, please. Can't we at least try counseling? For Olivia's sake. For Olivia's sake? I kept my voice level. You had an affair with a married man, stole company money for plastic surgery, and humiliated me publicly. None of that was for Olivia's sake. She looked away. I made mistakes. Mistakes are forgetting to pay a bill or missing an anniversary. What you did was calculated. Months of lying, stealing, planning. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. I felt trapped, Lauren said, her voice rising slightly. You were always working, always focused on your code and your projects. I needed more. So you stole from me and slept with my VP? That's your solution to feeling neglected. People at nearby tables were starting to glance over. Lauren noticed and lowered her voice. Jordan said he loved me. He said we'd be together once everything's settled. Jordan's married with 2 kids in Dallas. He's been lying to you the entire time. Her face went pale. That's not true. He told me he was divorced. His wife served him papers last week. She hired a private investigator who documented everything. Turns out you're not the first employee he's had an affair with. You're just the latest. Lauren's hands shook as she reached for a coffee cup. You're lying. Ask him yourself. Oh wait, you can't. He blocked your number 3 days ago when HR launched their investigation. The color drained from her face completely. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. What do you want from me? She finally asked. Nothing. I want joint custody of Olivia, and I want you to stop pretending you're the victim here. You made your choices. Now live with them. I stood up to leave. She grabbed my arm. Ryan, please. I know I messed up, but we built a life together. 14 years. That has to count for something. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. It did count for something. Right up until you threw it away for a man who was using you. I pulled my arm free and walked out. She didn't follow. As I drove back to Kevin's place, I felt something I hadn't expected. Peace. Not happiness, not satisfaction, just peace. The kind that comes from knowing you did the right thing, even when it hurt. Lauren had tried to rewrite history, make herself the victim, justify her choices. But I wasn't playing that game anymore. I was moving forward. And for the first time in years, I was doing it on my own terms. 3 weeks into the divorce proceedings, I met someone who changed my perspective on everything. Her name was Michelle Torres, a project manager at a competing tech firm. We met at a local coding meetup I'd started attending to get out of Kevin's house. She was 39, single mom to an 8-year-old boy named Carter. Divorced 2 years back after her ex-husband's gambling addiction nearly bankrupted them. She had this way of speaking directly, no nonsense, that reminded me a good conversation didn't require walking on eggshells. We grabbed coffee after the second meetup. Nothing romantic, just 2 people who understood what it meant to rebuild from wreckage. So you're the guy from the rooftop incident, Michelle said, stirring her latte. Everyone in Austin Tech has heard that story. I winced. Great. I'm famous for all the wrong reasons. Actually, most people think you handled it like a boss. Walking away without engaging? That took serious backbone. Didn't feel like it at the time. That's because you were in shock. Trust me, from the outside looking in, You made her look petty and yourself look dignified. She leaned back. My ex tried to turn everyone against me when I left. Told people I was the problem, that I gave up on us. Took months before people realized he was drowning in debt and lies. How'd you get through it? Therapy. Good friends. And realizing that his narrative didn't define me. What he said about me wasn't who I was. Same goes for you. Lauren can tell whatever story she wants. The truth always comes out eventually. Over the next few weeks, Michelle became a genuine friend. Our kids had a play date, which went surprisingly well. Olivia and Carter hit it off immediately, building elaborate Lego structures while Michelle and I talked about work, parenting, and the weird limbo of divorce. You're doing better than you think, Michelle told me one afternoon while the kids played in her backyard. I've seen men completely fall apart during divorce. You're still showing up for your daughter, maintaining your job, fighting for what's right. That's strength. Some days it doesn't feel like it. That's normal. But you're proving something important. You can be hurt without being broken. That evening, Lauren called. Unusual, since we've been communicating only through lawyers. What do you want? I answered. Jordan's wife filed for divorce. She's taking everything. His career is finished. Lauren's voice sounded hollow. He told me he's moving back east. Doesn't want anything to do with me. And you're telling me this because I was wrong. About everything. I threw away 14 years for someone who didn't even care about me. I sat down on Kevin's porch steps. Yeah, you did. Is there any chance? No. I cut her off. You made your choice, Lauren. You can't unmake it because it didn't work out how you planned. Silence on the line. I hope you find whatever you're looking for, I said. But it's not with me. Not anymore. I hung up and sat there for a moment, expecting to feel something. Satisfaction, maybe. Instead, I just felt tired. Michelle texted, "How'd it go with the kids today?" I smiled and texted back, "Good. Really good." Sometimes moving forward means accepting that some chapters close permanently. And sometimes the people who help you through aren't romantic interests or grand gestures. They're just honest friends who remind you that you're stronger than you think. The custody hearing arrived on a cold Tuesday in November. Patricia met me outside the courthouse, briefcase in hand, confidence radiating from her like armor. "Remember," she said as we walked in, "stay calm. Answer questions directly. Don't let Lauren's attorney bait you into anger." Lauren sat across the courtroom with her lawyer, a sharp-dressed man named Richard Pratt who had a reputation for aggressive tactics. She looked different, thinner. The expensive haircut and designer clothes couldn't hide the exhaustion in her eyes. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s named Judge Catherine Brennan, reviewed the files before looking up. "This is a custody hearing for Olivia Chambers, age 6. Mr. Chambers is seeking primary custody with visitation rights for Mrs. Chambers. Mrs. Chambers is contesting this arrangement. Let's begin." Patricia presented our case methodically. The affair, the financial fraud, the public humiliation, the evidence from Taylor's flash drive showing systematic deception. Lauren's attorney tried to object multiple times, but Patricia had documented everything perfectly. Mrs. Chambers used marital funds and company resources to finance an extramarital affair, Patricia stated. She introduced her daughter to an unstable situation and showed a pattern of deception that lasted months. Mr. Chambers, by contrast, has maintained stable employment, secured appropriate housing, and prioritized his daughter's well-being throughout this process. When it was Lauren's turn, her attorney painted me as emotionally distant and career-focused. He claimed Lauren's affair was a symptom of my neglect, that I'd driven her away with my lack of attention. Judge Brennan stopped in mid-sentence. "Counselor, are you seriously arguing that infidelity and fraud are justified responses to feeling neglected?" Richard Pratt backpedaled. "No, Your Honor. I'm simply providing context. Context doesn't excuse behavior. Continue, but stick to facts relevant to the child's welfare." When I took the stand, Lauren's attorney went after me hard. "Mr. Chambers, isn't it true you frequently worked late nights and weekends?" "Yes, to provide for my family. And during those late nights, who was caring for Olivia?" "My wife, when she was home. My brother when she wasn't. I made sure Olivia was never alone or unsupervised. But you were absent." "I was working. That's different from being absent. I was at every school event, every parent-teacher conference, every doctor's appointment. I coach her soccer team. Can Mrs. Chambers say the same? He didn't have an answer for that. Patricia called Taylor Reed as a witness. Taylor testified about the expense fraud, the evidence she'd collected, and how the company had terminated Jordan Palmer's employment. Then Patricia dropped the bomb. Miss Reed, during your investigation, did you discover anything else relevant to this case? Yes. Jordan Palmer had a history of targeting married female employees. Lauren wasn't his first affair. There were at least 3 others over the past 5 years. Lauren's face went white. Judge Brennan reviewed the evidence for several minutes, then rendered her decision. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I'm awarding primary physical custody to Mr. Chambers. Mrs. Chambers will have supervised visitation every other weekend until such time as she can demonstrate stable housing and employment. This court takes financial fraud and deception seriously, especially when it impacts a child's welfare. The gavel came down. Lauren's attorney immediately moved to appeal, but Judge Brennan shut him down. You can file an appeal, counselor, but given the evidence, I doubt it will succeed. Outside the courthouse, Patricia shook my hand. Congratulations, Ryan. You fought the right way, and you won. I called Kevin immediately. I got primary custody. That's my brother. I'm proud of you, man. That evening, I picked up Olivia from school and took her out for ice cream. I didn't tell her about the custody decision yet. That conversation would come later, when she was ready. For now, I just wanted to be her dad. The one who showed up. The one who fought for her. The one who chose strength over bitterness. 4 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Jordan Palmer at a grocery store. Pure chance. I was grabbing milk and cereal when I saw him in the next aisle, looking like he'd aged 10 years. He saw me and froze. For a second, I thought he'd turn and walk away. Instead, he approached. Ryan, can we talk for a minute? Every instinct told me to walk away, but curiosity won. You got 60 seconds. We stepped outside into the parking lot. Jordan looked at his shoes before speaking. I wanted to apologize. What I did was inexcusable. I destroyed your marriage, my own marriage, my career, all for something that wasn't even real. You're 4 months too late for apologies. I know. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just needed you to hear it. He took a breath. My wife took the kids to her parents in Ohio. I'm not allowed to see them without supervision. I'm working at a startup for a third of my old salary. Everything I built is gone. And you think I should feel sorry for you? No. I think you should know that walking away that night saved you from becoming like me. A man who had everything and threw it away for nothing. I studied his face. He wasn't looking for sympathy. He was just broken. I hope you find a way to rebuild, I said finally. But stay away from me and my family. He nodded and walked to a beat-up Honda Civic. No Porsche, no designer suit, just a broken man living with his choices. I drove home thinking about how different our paths had become. He'd lost everything chasing something hollow. I'd lost my marriage but found myself. That evening, Olivia and I made dinner together. Spaghetti, her favorite. She stood on a stool stirring sauce while I handled the pasta. Daddy, are you happy now? She asked out of nowhere. Yes, sweetheart. I really am. Are you? Uh-huh. I like living with you. And I like that you smile more. Kids notice everything. Later that week, Michelle invited me to Carter's birthday party. Nothing romantic, just friends celebrating together. I brought Olivia, and she had a blast with the other kids. Michelle found me on the porch watching the chaos. You're doing great, you know. Being a single dad suits you. Some days are harder than others. That's parenthood, divorce or not. She smiled. But you're showing up. That's what matters. The company promoted me to senior engineering manager the following month. Better pay, better hours, a team I respected. Taylor was part of that team, and we'd become solid friends. Professional, but genuine. You earned this, she told me after the announcement. Not because of the drama, but because you're good at what you do. Life was finding its rhythm. Not perfect, but honest. Not what I planned, but something real. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was exactly where I needed to be. 8 months after that rooftop ultimatum, I stood in my new apartment watching Olivia arrange her toys in her bedroom. Not a fancy place, but it was ours. 2 bedrooms, a small patio, close to her school. I love it here, Daddy, she said, hugging her stuffed elephant. Me too, kiddo. Lauren had moved to Dallas for a fresh start. She called Olivia every week, visited once a month. The relationship was civil now, distant but functional. She'd started therapy, got a job at a smaller marketing firm, seemed to be building something more authentic. We'd never be friends, but we could co-parent. That was enough. Kevin stopped by that afternoon with pizza and beer. We sat on the patio while Olivia watched cartoons inside. "You look different," Kevin said. "Lighter. I feel different. Like I finally stopped carrying weight that wasn't mine to carry." "Lauren called me last week. Asked how you were doing. What did you tell her?" "That you were thriving." Didn't seem like she wanted to hear it, but it's the truth. He took a sip of beer. "You ever think about dating again?" "Maybe eventually. But right now, I'm focused on being the best dad I can be. Everything else can wait." Michelle and I had gotten closer over the months, but we'd kept it platonic. Both of us knew we needed to heal before jumping into anything new. Maybe someday that would change. Maybe not. Either way was fine. The tech company threw a launch party for our new platform 2 weeks later. Rooftop venue, nice catering, open bar. The irony wasn't lost on me. This time, I wasn't the guy nursing a beer in the corner. I was the senior engineering manager who'd led the development team. People sought me out, asked my opinions, treated me like someone who mattered. Taylor found me near the railing. "How's it feel being back on a rooftop?" "Different. Better." I looked at the Austin skyline. Last time I was up here, I was losing everything. Tonight, I'm celebrating what I built. "You come a long way, Ryan." "We both have." I left the party early to pick up Olivia from Kevin's place. She fell asleep on the drive home, and I carried her to bed, tucking her in like I'd done 1,000 times. Standing in her doorway, watching her sleep peacefully, I realized something profound. The night Lauren gave me that ultimatum, I thought my life was ending. But she didn't end my life. She just entered her place in it. And in that space, I'd found room to become someone stronger. Not perfect, not undamaged, but real. A better father, a better man. I didn't need her to validate my worth. I didn't need Jordan's downfall to feel vindicated. I didn't need revenge or closure or apologies. I just needed to keep showing up for the people who mattered, keep building a life worth living, and keep choosing strength over bitterness. That rooftop ultimatum was supposed to break me. Instead, it freed me. And standing there in my daughter's room, in my own apartment, living my own authentic life, I finally understood what it meant to walk away from something toxic and walk towards something real. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is simply walk away. I did both, and I'd never been more certain I'd made the right choice.